else do we have here? Don, hey Bob, could you please describe, preferably on air, the specific movement of a two-seam fastball, four-seam fastball, and a slider, and what is a backdoor slider? All right, I'll try to get that done for you. Let me see if I have a baseball around here somewhere. I thought I had a ball, and where'd my baseball go? Found a ball. All right. Fastballs. First of all, most basic fastball is going to be your four-seam fastball. We call it a four-seam fastball because when you hold it like this, you'll have four seams going against the wind as it's heading towards home plate. This is going to be the fastball with the least amount of movement. Most often it's fairly straight. Sometimes it'll actually appear to have a little bit of rise on it. I think physics actually proves that no baseball actually rises. It just doesn't sink as much as other pitches do, so it appears to rise. That is the four-seam fastball. It's the fastball that most kids learn to use first. It's the fastball that you can control the best, and it's usually the fastball with the most velocity but the least amount of movement. The next fastball is going to be a two-seam fastball. We call it the two-seamer because only two seams this time are actually going to be going against the air as you throw it. This ball usually has some movement on it. It's not going to be thrown as hard as a four-seam fastball, and in general, when thrown from a right-hander, it's going to move down and in to the right-hand batter. Next thing would be the slider that you were asking about. The slider generally is a fastball held a little bit off-center, and it's thrown hard. It's one of the hardest breaking balls. It's going to come in looking just like a fastball, but as the two-seam fastball ran down and into the right-hand batter, the slider is going to go down and away from a right-hand batter. So it looks like a fastball all the way to the very end, and then it's going to cut down and away. Now when we talk about a backdoor breaking ball, basically the front door is the inside part of the plate. So to a right-hand batter, it would be the third base side of home plate, the inside part of the plate. A backdoor pitch would be a pitch that's thrown that appears to be away, so the back door is going to be the opposite side of the plate. To a right-hand batter, it would be the first side part of home plate. If it's thrown from a left-hand pitcher, it would appear to be off the plate, away from the right-hand batter, and then the last second drop in and be a strike. That's what they call a backdoor pitch. So for me, to throw a backdoor breaking ball, I'd have to throw it to a left-hand batter. I'd most likely throw a slider or a curveball. It would start off the plate, away from a left-hand batter, and at the last second, drop in to the outside corner. That's what they call a backdoor breaking pitch. Hope that answers your questions about the two-seamer, four-seamer, slider, and backdoor breaking ball, Trevor. If you have any more questions about that, well, let me know. We'll get to it. Next question is going to be from, actually that was from Don. Sorry about that, Don. Don, those were the descriptions of the pitches. Olga wants to know, hey, since a walk doesn't count as an at-bat in scoring, does a walk that forces in a run get an RBI? And if so, why? You know, that's an interesting question, Olga. Basically, they don't attribute walks to batting average because it doesn't reflect whether the guy is successfully getting a hit or not. So they don't count walks in figuring out your batting average. It doesn't count as an official at-bat. But it's still a plate appearance. So any plate appearance, which is any time a guy walks up to the plate, that he does something that helps score the run. In other words, he has a successful at-bat where he doesn't swing at bad pitches, induces a walk, gets himself over to first base, which then scores the run in a bases-loaded situation. He should get credit for the RBI, and he does. Nick wants to know, hey Scan, what is the general principle on the shortstop coming across the bag on the double plays? We saw a play in tonight's ball game where Jose Reyes appeared to touch second base as he was sliding by to do the double play, but the second base umpire said, no, you didn't touch the base. He called the runner at second safe. In general, the principle is this. Look, umpires don't want shortstops and second basemen to have to be standing on second base as they receive the ball all the time, basically because those guys would get smeared by the incoming runner. So they allow them a little bit of latitude to be able to usually touch the base as they're catching the ball. And if it's within reason, most umpires are going to say, hey, look, he was touching the bag, caught the ball split second after he was touching the bag as he was going by to get out of the way of the incoming runner and made the throw. In general, most umpires are going to be fairly reasonable about that. But there are times where a guy tries to overextend it. Most often it's because he's sliding by the base and the timing is a little bit off from the second baseman or the shortstop, whichever the case may be, in receiving the ball. So he touches the base, but it's a little bit longer time before he catches the ball. When it's obvious like that, yeah, then the umpire's going to say safe. Didn't touch the base. You're sliding by it too fast. So You know, if it's obvious and egregious, they're gonna call the guy safe. But in most cases, umpires are going to allow that shortstop or second baseman to go by the base, tag it as long as he's within the vicinity of the base when he's catching the baseball. By the way, that play tonight, it looked like the shortstop, Reyes, was actually standing on the base when he took the ball. So that was not what you would normally see in that call. Bill wants to know, hey, Bob, I was wondering if there has ever been an inside the park grand slam home run. Bill, the answer is yes. There's been quite a few of them. In fact, over 40 since 1950. The most recent one, as luck would have it, was actually by the Mets. Omar Santos, earlier this season on May 7th, had an inside-the-park home run. So they happen more often than you would think. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Honus Wagner, I think, had 5 of them. I think he's the all-time leader in inside-the-park Grand Slam home runs. Last one, we'll wrap it up tonight. Joe, hey, how do the Padres rank in the National League as far as errors? It seems like he hasn't heard anything about that yet, or recently. Joe, actually the Padres have committed only 22 errors at this point. It is the second fewest in the National League, right behind the San Francisco Giants. But I would actually say the Padres have better defense than the Giants. They have much more athleticism. They get to a lot more balls. They give themselves a lot more opportunities and therefore have more chances. And the fact that they only have 22 errors, I think, says it all. It's one of the big reasons the Padres have been so successful this year. Hey, thanks a lot for the emails. We really appreciate it. Keep them coming. We'll try to answer as many as we can on air, and if not, we'll try to answer them here. And anything that I can't answer on these HeyScan videos, I'll answer to you live via email. Thanks a lot. Have a good evening.